Alright, we're underway. So today we are going to be replacing the inlet water valves for a Fisher & Paykel GW612 washing machine, which is the Australian version. The reason we're doing this is because when we put the machine on warm water, only cold water comes out into the machine, and we've already of course tested that the tap is fully on. And what that means then is that the inlet valve is not working correctly. So we've purchased the two inlet valves. Now we have to make sure that you get the correct ones for your machine because there are quite a number of different versions of this valve. This one's the hot water valve, which I've written hot on just to make sure that I don't get them mixed up. This is the cold water one. Because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, I've written cold upside down there, but that's okay. Now even though it's only the hot water valve that's not working, we'll replace both of them because we're going to have the machine apart anyway, so we may as well do that. First thing we're going to do is take the lid off. So we just lift it all the way up to the top here and gently move it up like that. So the lid has now come off, and we'll just move the dogs out of the way. So we'll just focus over here. At the back here there will be two screws. We'll take those screws out, and that will help us remove this top panel to get to the valves behind. We'll of course make sure that the machine is turned off at the power point, and we will also make sure that the hoses are turned off. So we'll start with the first screw here. And we'll see if we can do this without dropping the screw behind the machine. There's one up there, and there'll be another one there. A little bit further, and out it comes. Now we'll also take the opportunity to completely remove the power cord, so there's absolutely no electrical power coming in. Now let's see if this lifts off nicely for us. And it does. So inside there you can see the electronics, and you can see the two units, one there and one there. These are the units that we're going to be replacing. So what we might do is we might just pause the video for just a sec and come back in 2 minutes. Alright, so because we haven't done this before, we're going to be pausing occasionally as I try to do a few things along the way, and you'll see me make a couple of mistakes. But the first thing I'm going to do is the next thing I'm going to do is remove the hoses from the back here. And we will obviously get a little bit of water out of these, and that'll run down onto the floor. So we might just pop a towel down there to catch the water. We'll keep going there. So we'll just hold this in place as we catch the water. We'll undo that one. Here it is. And what we might do whilst we have this going, because we don't want to forget where these ones went. This is the cold water tap. Alright, so this is the cold water tap. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a marker pen, and we're just going to put a little C on there, and we're going to put a C on this side, so that we know which side the cold water tap goes in. Therefore this one will be a hot. So I'm just going to move over to the back here for a sec. I'm going to put a cold there and a hot there. So that way I'll know which way to put the hoses back a little bit later. Now we'll just clean up a little bit of water we spilled on there. That's a circuit board. We don't want that to get too wet. So now we will remove the next hose, which is the hot water hose. And we're getting a little bit of water out of this one, that's okay. And out it comes. And even though we know it's connected to the hot tap, because we can trace it through, we'll just put a H on there just to make it nice and easy. There we go. So we'll place those two taps down there and they can live happily there for a couple of minutes. Now over here, getting these valves out, it appears that there is a holder in place here, a plastic holder. It appears to be held in by two screws at the back there. So we're just going to fumble our way through this and remove these two screws and not worry too much about the fact that the control unit just fell into the agitator. So we'll remove this screw. There it is there. We'll keep it separate from the other two screws. And we'll remove this screw. And there it goes. Now let's see what happens if we can just gradually work this out. Or not. Let's have a look over the back here to see what's going on. So that certainly wants to lift up now. There we go. That is now out. And we can see the two units here. So we might just pause for another sec as we figure. Okay, so if we bring the camera in here, we can see that there is a screw there that appears to be holding this reservoir down that the two inlet valves are screwed into. I'm going to need to remove this to be able to actually unscrew each of these valves. So I'm not quite sure what's underneath this, so I don't know whether I have to take the full lid off yet. But let's take this screw out, which holds the main circuitry in place, and see if that helps move our unit here. Okay, and it doesn't seem to be having much of an impact. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look to see if we actually need to pull the actual lid off and see if that helps us out. So we'll pause there for a minute. Okay, so with a little bit of, I won't say brute force, we can see that this comes out a little bit further here, and at the moment it's just leaking water. And there we go, the water's coming out through there and falling down into here, which is fine. So we might just empty all the water out of that. You can see it coming out there. And heading down into the washing machine. So now we're at a point where we can actually unscrew these items in a minute. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just work out how to get these clips out. There's one there. So we'll just, there's one. Now again, because this one's blue, which is cold, this one's red, which is hot, so that will identify which one goes to which one when we plug them back in. And of course, before we go too much further, let's grab one of the new ones, the cold one. And even though the plugs are a little bit different, it will plug in like that quite happily. And there are some little keepers in there that tell you exactly how to plug it in. So that's okay. we've got the right units, which is encouraging. So we'll take that one out, and you can see just under there there's a little clip that I had to push in. It's right there to push in, and there's another one just under here. So what I'll do is I'll get my thumb around there, push that clip in, and then pull the plug out gently. Of course, they don't make it easy for people with slightly bigger hands. I promise we will get... Alright, so we'll keep trying to get this little plug out by pushing that little keeper in, and I think I need smaller hands. There we go, and out it comes. So we have those two plugs out now. We'll just put them out of the way, and we don't need to do anything with this sensor here, we'll just leave that in place. Alright, these ones here have a life of their own, we'll just tuck them under there. Okay, so we'll just pause that for a moment whilst... Okay, so we're about to take the old valves out and replace it with the new valve. Now you'll notice that the new valve has these little ridges down the bottom here. Now that is not so that it can screw in, it actually pushes in, and those ridges help seal it. So what we need to do is we need to be able to get these ones out. Because those ridges seal it hard, I'm just going to gently put the screwdriver under here and just lever it up a little bit. And as I lever it up, you'll see that it's gradually coming out there. So there's one, old one. I'll put that there. And we'll just see if we can lever this one out a little bit. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. There we go. And there's the second one. We just put that down there. So we'll grab the two new ones. Here's our cold there, which will go into the cold there. That just slips nicely in there. You'll see that there's a little plate there that goes on that side. That then goes into that hole, and then we push down so that it seals in place, and that's ready. The hot one over the hot side, and I've just noticed there's actually a H there and a C there for those playing at home, so I probably didn't need to put that, but I didn't know that, but that's okay. The old saying is measure twice, cut once. So we'll put the hot one in here, line that up, press it in place, and now those two units are in place and ready to be put back. So that will go back in here now. Actually, just as I put that back in and fumble away as it's caught in there, and try not to laugh, there we go. You'll notice that there's a hole there. That's where, as the water comes in here and mixes in the unit here, it'll come through that hole there and then down into the washing machine. So you just need to make sure you line that hole up as you place it in there, and then just push it down into that hole, which I've just done. So those are now in place, and we now need to put these clips back in place. So we'll put the first one into there. That's the hot water, and that's the cold water. So those two are now in place. We'll put this screw back down here. So this is the main control unit, and the brown plastic here just keeps this unit in place there. So we will just put that screw down in there. There we go. Now you'll notice here that there's also a hole just in here. That's where you could put another screw down if you wanted to, but because it wasn't there from the manufacturer, we won't bother to put it in either. This unit now goes back in place here, so it slots into little slots at the side. We'll push that down. That's now clipped in place, and hopefully we can get some screws in the back here. if there's anyone at home screaming at me saying that I've forgotten to do something, we'll find that out shortly as we put each of these in place. I'm looking around, counting the number of screws I've taken out just to make sure that everything goes back in. And we'll put this screw back in place. Okay, so the 2 screws are back in place. That's nice and solid. That's nice and solid. Clips are in. Everything else is in place here. I haven't taken anything out there. That screw is back in place. We've only got these 2 screws left over, which will put the top back on. And after that, we'll connect the hoses back up to the rear. So let's get the top on so that we don't have the risk of any more water going on the inside. And this just sits down nicely. In there, so it just slots in. Now we'll just move the camera all the way over. I'll just have a look over here just to make sure that none of the wires are scrunching up on anything. Everything looks happy in there. We'll place that down and put these 2 screws back in place. One goes there and one will go in there. And we'll just grab the screwdriver. And we'll put this one back in. Here it goes. Put this one back in. There we go. So what we'll do now is we will connect the 2 hoses back up, and I've marked them so that'll make it nice and easy. H for hot. And we'll go and retrieve that one in a minute. So there's the hot. And we'll just place that in. There we go. And we'll just go to the cold. Place that one on. Okay, make sure that's nice and sealed. Tight. Alright, so the next thing we'll do is we'll turn the 2 taps on and just make sure there's no major leaks out the back here. For all those waiting at home for water to come spurting out the back, this is your moment. We'll just move this around here because you don't want people to miss this if it does come spurting out. We'll just gently put that one on there. Okay, that's good news. And this one on here. And that's good news. So no water gushing out the back there. Sorry to all those people who were wanting to see that. We'll now plug the machine back in and turn it on. Does this little song. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on without putting the lid on for the moment, just so we can see it filling up. So if we can bring over here, so we'll turn the power on. We're on a warm cold, so I should feel some warm water coming through here. And we'll turn it on. And now we've got a full water flow through there. And that's starting to warm up. And if I put it up to there, now I'm getting quite warm water coming through. Both valves are now working perfectly to the point that it's actually burning my hand now, so I'll take it out. We'll pop it on pause. We'll dry our hand. We'll grab the lid again. Make sure that the little lugs at the side here are vertical. Place this gently. Pop it down. Bob's your uncle.